Welcome back. You're still tuned to Network Africa on Channels Television with me, Cynthia Are. Now, in the space of 9 months, things have gone from bad to worse in Burundi, where as many as 230,000 people have fled the country to neighboring ones in order to stay alive. The situation has worsened to the point that Uganda is starting to feel the pinch due to the influx of thousands of refugees, and the United States is moving to bring the crisis to an end as well. The U.S. Special Envoy for the Great Lakes of Africa, Mr. Thomas Perriello, would be visiting Burundi as part of his government's efforts at ending crisis in the country. The crisis began when President Pierre Nkurunziza expressed his desire to run for a third term and went ahead to do so. He secured the win, but the question on everyone's lips is, at what cost? Well, joining me to not only do justice to that question, but give us a clearer picture of the situation in Burundi is a Burundian in the capital, Bujumbura, Mr. Jean-Regis Nduimana. He's a university lecturer and a media consultant. Mr. Nduimana, it's a delight to have you again, despite the circumstances.
Yeah, I'm lucky I'm still here because, now things has gone worse, and to be young in Burundi now, it's a dangerous status now.
I'd just like you to explain to us in detail what's happening right now since you're in Bujumbura.
So what's happening now is like we're facing young men in the protester areas being arrested arbitrarily by the military officers and policemen. So in between, Nkurunziza have gained sometimes. So because dialogue is not there, so his security forces keep on searching guns, keep on hunting down young men, and if you are a young man, you are in a protester area, you are likely to be arrested. Although some people have been released, so set free, but others who are suspected to be insurgents, to be armed, or if you are caught with a gun, you are likely to be killed.
How have you been coping? It's been 9 months now. Unfortunately, this looks as though it might clock a year if things don't improve. But how have you been managing so far?
On my side, I had to go into hiding place. I'm living in a safe house now, not at my home place as a blogger and as a human rights campaigner. So for other people who doesn't have anywhere to go, that's people that they are being arrested now. So 9 months things has gone so far, and people are.
We will reconnect with Jean-Regis Nduimana right there. It's important to understand that based on the conflict which is taking place in the country, there's been not only a clampdown on the media, but also as regards cell phone networks and also reception, which is why he's having some trouble. But we will reconnect with him in just a moment. But in the meantime, we'd just like to take you through some of the highlights of this crisis so far. It's been 9 months now. It's important to note that Burundi is one of the world's poorest countries. Unfortunately, the life expectancy, whether one is male or female, is 50 years. There's a $900 GDP per capita, and in 1993, the conflict claimed 300,000 lives. This just proved that Burundi has never got the chance to fully recover from conflict, because what happened in 1993 is basically repeating itself, but on a different basis, based on what the president was seeking in terms of a third term. Now, as I said earlier on, the conflict began back in April, and it was due to the third-term aspirations of President Nkurunziza. Hundreds of lives have been lost since April of 2015, and we understand that as many as 230,000 people have fled from the country from 2015 up until now, and the United States is seeking to end the crisis. Well, I understand that we have Mr. Nduimana back with us. Mr. Nduimana, thank you so much for staying on the line. And you were explaining that you have to go into hiding in order to stay alive, basically. I'd just like to ask if the authorities are actually saying anything. If Mr.
Sierra Leone, Congo, Angola, Sudan, who have huge exports. Nigeria is not even listed among the countries that have been hit very badly, because what has happened to us, maybe in terms of revenue, the oil export to China has not dropped that much, but the revenue has, because of the drop in oil prices. So apart from the oil sector, there isn't too much of agro produce, non-oil export to China, which is why the impact is not going to be very serious on Nigeria as it will be in so many other sub-Saharan African countries.
Well, Dr. Madu, in about 30 seconds, if you can, what are we going to see happen at the end of the day when all is said and done, with who's going to be on the losing end, especially since we see that it's not going to have much impact on Nigeria. But the irony in this case is that exports went up from China to Africa by 4%. So are we going to see who's going to be on the losing end at the end of the day?
Obviously, sub-Saharan Africa is at the losing end. We are not manufacturing anything. China export is increasing by the day. It's all natural resources that we are sending to China, and we cannot increase the quantity. We can't even push more quantity than they can take. So it also means that the African countries involved need to diversify their markets, and also value addition. Value addition is the way to go, because when that happens, you also expand your market, and then you can have...
Dr. Obiora Madu, thank you so much for joining us. We're very thankful for your analysis and your time. Thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Obiora Madu is the Chairman Exports Group, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Now to South Africa. According to Oscar Pistorious' lawyer, the South African Supreme Court of Appeal ignored the double amputee's vulnerability when it overturned a manslaughter conviction, declaring him guilty of murder for killing his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp in 2013. In a request to South Africa's Constitutional Court to hear an appeal of the murder conviction, lawyer Andrew Fawcett said Pistorious was on his stumps, which made him anxious when he fired. He also said the appeals court ignored the trial court's finding that Pistorious believed his life was in danger. Fawcett also challenged the appeal court's conclusion that the athlete knew he would kill someone when he fired into a toilet cubicle. Pistorious is currently under house arrest while the Constitutional Court decides if it will hear the case sentencing. And the sentencing is scheduled for April the 18th this year. And finally, in and to Malawi, there's nothing more refreshing than actually watching a person rise above their circumstance and make a mark in the world. That's certainly the case for a group of inmates at Zomba Maximum Prison in Malawi who've been nominated for this year's Grammy Music Awards. The prisoners, who are serving sentences ranging from life imprisonment to shorter terms, formed a band and recorded their album I Have No Everything Here in 2013.
Doing time behind bars does not necessarily mean that one's talents need to be imprisoned. That's certainly the case for this group of inmates who could have a Grammy under their belt in just a few weeks. The songs on the album were all written by the inmates and are a mix of various genres. Reflecting the lives of the inmates, they address issues such as HIV, AIDS, family, and crime. The prison is now using music as part of efforts to reform the inmates.
The prison is not a place to punish offenders. It's a place where we reform them and turn them into useful citizens when they complete their jail term.
Ganizani Thomas is serving a life sentence at Zomba Prison. He plays the keyboard. Like other members of the band, he believes music has helped to give him a sense of hope. Malawi's prison system is stretched and overcrowded. Zomba Central Prison was built in 1935 and houses more than 2,000 inmates, but it was designed to accommodate 340 people. Dr. Little Denizulu Metangano, who is acting Chief Commissioner of Prisons, strongly believes the ban makes a good case for reform of Africa's correctional facilities.
I'm lost of words that people who are behind the bars in those cells, that other people, they can recognize them as human beings to put them into a category of Grammy Award.
I Have Know Everything Here is shortlisted in the Best World Music category. The 2016 Grammy Award ceremony will take place on Monday, February 15 in Los Angeles, California, in the United States.
Well, I definitely hope they will win. And on that note, here's our question of the day. What are your thoughts on China's import drop from Africa? We'd like to hear your feedback either via email or Twitter. The address and handle are on your screen. Thank you so much for watching Network Africa right here on Channels Television. It's been a delight to have you. I'm Cynthia Are.